Hey, what's up guys, welcome back to RBN Hardware and a brand new video. Today we'll be discussing the best gaming laptops under $800 in 2022. We're gonna go over 3 laptops covering everything you need to know, including gaming performance and benchmarks, but we will also look at things like ports, battery life and portability. So by the end of the video you should have a good idea what laptop to consider. Now if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. I cover gaming PC builds, gaming laptops as well as affordable monitors. But with that said, let's not waste any more time, let's dive into the video. Recent years have brought us some quite interesting new technologies worth spending a few extra dollars on. Now, luckily for us, $800 is actually enough to benefit from many of these new technologies that enables lower power consumption and temperatures without having to sacrifice performance and frame rate. Now, upon making this video guys, I've gone over tens and hundreds of laptops with the end goal of helping you save time and money. I was able to find 3 machines that I'm happy to recommend. With the laptops we're about to look at, you can expect to run your favorite game at medium to max settings at 1080p and 1440p at low to medium settings at 60 frames per second. If you're wondering what laptop I would personally pick, I will be leaving my own recommendation at the end of the video. So with that said, let's take a look at the first one. So this is the Acer Nitro 5. If you're looking for a gaming laptop with great balance between portability, battery life and performance, and competitive shooters aren't your main focus, this might be a great fit for you. Right now, selling for $800, the Acer Nitro 5 is a brilliant laptop that comes with everything you can possibly ask for. Let's start with the specifications. So Acer is selling a couple of different configurations of the Nitro 5. This particular one comes with a 10th Gen Core i5, 4-core 8-thread CPU with a 4.5 GHz clock speed and 8 GB of single-channel RAM, which can be upgraded. It comes with a 250 GB SSD, which is expandable. For graphics, we find an Nvidia RTX 3050 graphics card with gaming performance close to the GTX 1660 Super. Now, what makes RTX-based GPUs particularly interesting is the fact that it comes with RT and Tensor cores, so you're not only getting support for ray tracing, the GPU also fully supports something called DLSS. Now basically what DLSS does is that it allows you to run many AAA titles with a lot higher frame rate to very little picture quality downgrade. I've got a video linked up down below where I talk about this in greater detail, but it's a pretty fantastic feature you definitely don't want to skip over. Let's look at the pros and cons with this particular machine. So it comes with a 15.6-inch 144Hz Full HD display, backlit keyboard, 3 USB ports, an Ethernet port, an audio jack and a single HDMI. It's got a weight of about 5 pounds or 2.2 kilograms and a battery that will last you about 11 hours. And so far, so good. The SSD will make Windows and loading times feel fast and snappy, which is great. However, 256 GB worth of space is unfortunately rather low in 2022. It is enough to fit a few games, but yeah, that's about it. On the flip side, you do find a free M.2 slot and there's a 2.5-inch bay inside the case, so you can add another device if you want to, which is obviously great. The only sort of slight issue I have with this machine is the CPU. 4 cores is still enough to meet the recommended requirement in games, but 6-core CPUs are starting to get more and more common in terms of recommended requirement. So yeah, I want you guys to keep that in mind. Also, something worth having in mind is that lower core count typically results in micro stutter, and so I wouldn't typically recommend this laptop for competitive gaming for that particular reason. And speaking of gaming, in terms of performance, here is what you can expect. For 60 FPS, generally we are looking at 1080p at medium to high settings in most games out there. The link to this machine can be found down below. Let's move on and take a look at our next option. Now, if you want the best gaming laptop in terms of performance money can buy you, you want to consider this machine from Lenovo. Now this laptop has a much better CPU than the one from Acer. We are now getting a 6-core 12-thread Ryzen 5 5600H based on AMD's latest Zen 3 architecture. Now this processor is super fast and snappy and ideal for competitive shooters and esports games, but it can obviously easily handle any type of demanding AAA title. But yeah guys, it gets even better. In terms of graphics, we're looking at an RTX based 3050 Ti GPU. So once again, we're getting both ray tracing and DLSS. Just like with the previous machine, you can expect to run any game at 1080p pretty much maxed out above 60 FPS. We will look into the details in just a second. We're getting 8 gigs of RAM, again not ideal, but yep, still enough in 2022. For storage, we're getting a 512GB super fast NVMe SSD. The screen is an IPS based 120Hz Full HD display, and for battery life, we're getting about 5 hours when gaming on the go. So all in all, generally mostly positive things about this machine. The price to performance is simply amazing. DLSS is something you definitely don't want to skip over. The CPU is a match made in heaven for this particular setup. On the downside, however, we find 5 hours of battery life, which is definitely on the lower side. However, you can easily upgrade both the RAM and get a bigger drive later down the road fairly cheap. In terms of performance, we see that the 3050 Ti doesn't disappoint, well over 60 FPS in all of the games tested. Let's move on and talk about our final recommendation. Now, if you're willing to sacrifice a bit of performance for a more budget-friendly price tag, this might be the laptop for you. This machine once again comes from Lenovo. It is from the same series as the one we just looked at, but with slightly different specifications. Things like screen, CPU, RAM and port count are the same, however, the big difference here is the GPU. Where the previous one had an RTX 3050 Ti, this one has a more modest GPU called GTX 1650. In terms of performance, we see that we're still able to get fairly high frame rate in most popular games, but you might have to drop the settings down to medium for the majority of the games you're planning on playing if 60 FPS is your target. Now GTX based GPUs are lacking ray tracing and DLSS support, so that is definitely something that you do want to have in mind, guys. What I do like with this laptop is the price tag. It comes in at $700, and for that you are getting a ton of value. Overall though, if I had to choose between these 3 laptops, I would personally pick the Lenovo IdeaPad Gaming 3 with the RTX 3050 Ti GPU. This is the best $800 laptop in terms of price, and it will basically eat any game you throw at it. It may not have the best battery life, but its gaming performance will definitely last you the longest if you plan on holding your laptop for a couple of years to come. And that is something that I value quite high. Now for any questions, feel free to leave them down below. I will be back with a brand new video in just a few days, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Have a fantastic day.